So this right here is the LisaFPGA project, and as the name implies, it is an entire Apple Lisa inside of an FPGA right here. And I'm pretty much done with it at this point, so this video kind of just goes over all of its capabilities, everything it can do, all that sort of stuff. Keep in mind, this is not the final hardware revision. That will probably be revision 3. It will look very, very similar to this, though. There are just a few minor changes, like some serial port stuff over here, maybe a few jumper changes, some stuff like that. Nothing very big. But for the most part, the final board will look a lot like this. Just going over what we got here. This is a Xilinx Arctic 7 100T FPGA right here. Then over here, we got all our power circuitry for generating all the different voltages the FPGA needs. It needs like 3 different voltages, plus we need plus and minus 12 volts for some other stuff, and minus 5 volts. So all that's being done over here with switching regulators. We got USB-C over here for power, and also for data, we have a USB hub right here that allows our USB-C connection here to split out into multiple things on the board, one of which is JTAG for programming the FPGA. Another is a serial connection to the SCC, which we'll talk about later. And then also we have connections to an onboard profile emulator, and also an onboard floppy emulator that I do not have working yet, but I hope to get working in the future. Then right here, this is the USB to JTAG interface for programming the FPGA, this whole little thing right here. Up here we have some audio output circuitry. This uses the exact same audio amplifier design, or at least as close as I could get. The output transistors right here are a little bit different, but as close as I can get to the same design that's used on the actual Lisa. You can see the design right here that I ended up using. So it should be basically as close to the Lisa as you can possibly get. And then the contrast latch is also implemented on here, the DAC that actually outputs our contrast signal. That is on this op amp as well. The contrast, of course, is generated inside of here, but then the DAC is over here. Then up here we have a video output header if you want to connect to like an RGB to HDMI or whatever. But I don't know why you would do that, because we also have HDMI output right here, which we will go into a little later. Then right here we have a 2 megabyte SRAM chip. This is the Lisa's main memory, meaning that you can have up to 2 megabytes of RAM on the emulated Lisa in here. These jumpers here, though, allow you to go all the way down to 512K, and then you can step up in 512K increments from there all the way up to the full 2 megs. Up here we have the 8530 SCC for our serial ports. I did not implement this inside the FPGA because there wasn't an off-the-shelf core for it, and I did not feel like making one myself at the moment, although I might do that later. So I just threw a real SCC on the board and then hooked it up to the FPGA. Then we've got our actual serial ports up here. We got serial A and serial B, just like the real Lisa. But serial B has a nice little twist to it on here, because not only can you plug in a serial device over the actual port like on a real Lisa, but we have a USB connection here, and I put a CP2102 USB to serial chip on the board. So what you can do is you can flip the switch here from the RS-232B position, which brings that port straight through, over to the USB position, and now you can connect straight to serial B on the Lisa through this USB to serial chip. So you don't need an external USB to serial adapter or anything like that. You can just plug this USB cable straight into your computer and connect over serial B to transfer files to your Lisa just like that, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Then over here we have our ES Profile hard disk emulator. So this is, you know, it's the exact same ES Profile that I designed. This thing right here, except upgraded to an ESP32S3 and all straight on the board this time instead of on a separate module and everything. And there's also an ESP32 based floppy emulator, as I mentioned earlier, except it doesn't do anything yet. So I've got most of the code written for it, but I haven't tested any of it or anything. So ignore that. There will be an OLED display down here, so you can you know, go through floppy disk images, and there's an interface down here just like what a floppy emu would have. But none of that's working yet, so ignore all that. Then we got our Lisa front panel controls down here. Of course, we got our soft power button with an LED to indicate power. We got reset, and we've got NMI, just like what the Lisa 210 has on the back. Then right here, we've got hard drive source, so you can choose whether you want ES profile to be your hard drive, or you can flip it over to external and plug an actual profile into this port right here. It's up to you. Same for floppy drive. You can have it be the ES floppy, which doesn't do anything yet, or an external floppy right here, which you can plug a real drive into, or a floppy emu. It's up to you. Then over here, we have our peripherals. You can plug in an original Mac/Lisa keyboard, or excuse me, original Mac/Lisa mouse and an original Lisa keyboard. Or if you don't have those, which is understandable because a lot of people do not have an original Lisa keyboard, you can actually just plug in USB keyboard and mouse. And inside the FPGA, I have USB human interface device to special Lisa protocol interface adapter stuff. So it'll convert your USB keyboard and USB mouse straight over to the Lisa protocol right in there. And you can pick which keyboard and which mouse you want to use, whether it's the Lisa one or the USB one, with these two switches right here. Couple other things, I guess. Up here, you can connect an external speaker if you want, just if you want nicer audio, I guess. Here's the invert video jumper that is an option that the Lisa CPU board had, but not a lot of people know about it. You can just move this jumper, it'll actually invert all the video coming out of the CPU board. So I figured I'd stick it on there because it's kind of cool. And finally, the RGB to HDMI has a cool like scan lines option where it'll like delete rows of pixels in your video output to like make simulated scan lines on your display. So I put a jumper on here that kind of does the same thing in the HDMI output just because it's kind of cool. Oh yeah, and then up here, forgot to mention this, we have a little GPIO header. So if you're developing anything on the FPGA and you want to add like some kind of IO, you can plug stuff in here. Then up here, we have some cool flexible stuff where you can actually pick which CPU board ROM you want on the fly. You can have either your HROM for running rectangular pixel software, or you can have your 3A ROM for running software that requires, or no software requires it, but for software that does better with square pixels, like MacWorks, for instance. And you can also select which IO ROM you want, either A8 for 400K and 800K floppies. And by the way, this is the version of the A8 ROM that can support both 400 and 800K, so you can plug in whichever you want. Or you can switch it over to 40 and plug in Twiggies, which I can't test because I don't have any Twiggies, but I made a little breakout board that should let you plug in Twiggies, and I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work. Then finally, one cool thing here is we've got these speed select switches, and this allows you to overclock your Lisa to up to 75 megahertz dot clock. That's not a 75 megahertz CPU clock, that's a 75 megahertz dot clock. The default Lisa dot clock is about 20 megahertz, so it's about basically 4 times faster than your stock Lisa. And it can go, you got 20, 40, 60, and 75. I could not go to 80 because of some limitations with this SRAM out here. 75 was as high as I could go, but it is still blazing fast compared to a stock Lisa, so I'm not complaining too much, and I don't think you will either. And then we've got a SD card slot for the ES profile up there, and for the floppy as well once that starts working. Sorry if you're hearing weird noises in the background. This laptop, its fans are kind of weird, and the fan is like buzzing strangely. But yeah, now that I've gone over the whole board, let's turn it on and see what it can do. So the FPGA is loading its bit stream from flash as we speak, and once it is done, oh, okay. This is a problem I need to fix on the revision 3 boards, actually. Sometimes it fails to load on a reset, so I have to press the program button to make it load. And now it is loaded. That is a problem I need to fix on revision 3. Now, if I hit the power button, we should start to see something come up on our monitor up here. So I will do that now. And by the way, it is running at the maximum 75 megahertz right now. So you'll see it go a little faster than usual. And it's running at 2 megabytes of RAM. So it is doing your self-test. And we just booted into the selector here. It is updating our drive image catalog with all of my disk images. And now I'm going to boot into, let's go into LOS3, because that's always fun. So I'm going to boot into that. And you will see how fast it is compared to a stock Lisa. There we go. We are in. And the clock calendar isn't set properly because we just started up for the first time with a new bit stream in here, so the cop doesn't remember any of its settings. But in between power cycles of the board, it will absolutely remember all that stuff. But yeah, here we are. It's the office system as you would expect. If I go into preferences here, by the way, I'm using the USB mouse here, and you can see that it's working great. Pretty cool. If I go into preferences here, you can see that contrast works over HDMI, so I can, sorry, focus is clearly not, there we go. I can tell it to go brighter, and it's brighter. I can do the dim level, and look, it got a lot dimmer. I think the camera adjusted its exposure, so it didn't really get as dim as it was supposed to, but it did get that dim in real life. The camera just compensated. And then we can adjust speaker volume as well. We got soft and loud. I don't know how well you could tell that on camera, but trust me, it is different. The reason the speakers sound so weird compared to a regular Lisa is because we're overclocked. So if I turn us down to stock speed, it'll sound more like what you expect. Yeah. See, a lot more like what you expect. And as you can see, at stock speed, things are significantly slower. So you just look how long that takes to redraw. But then if I go up to full speed again, overclocked, it's like instantaneous. Pretty cool, right? So yeah, that is it booting into the office system. You can see if I flip the, you can change ROMs on the fly. So if I flip this switch, you'll see the HDMI output will automatically rescale for the 3A ROMs. The whole screen gets corrupted because the office system doesn't know what to do with this. But you can see now it's in the proper aspect ratio for the 3A ROMs. And it doesn't crash because it's not using the ROMs right now. And I can switch right back and it'll still work okay. But yeah, if I turn the Lisa back off now with our soft power here and let it turn itself off, I'm going to boot back up again, and we'll boot into MacWorks so we can look at our rectangle, or excuse me, our square pixels. So Lisa is now off. I'm going to reset ES profile so that we can select a new hard disk image. We will start the Lisa back up again. It is firing up. The selector program only supports the HROMs, so I need to select MacWorks using the HROMs, and then we can switch over to the 3As. So we will go to MacWorks Plus. It can run MacWorks Plus too. You can actually plug a PFG in right here and it will run MacWorks Plus too, which is pretty cool. It'll run every operating system that Lisa supports. I have exhaustively tested that. It emulates a Lisa pretty much identically. I haven't found any compatibility issues at all. Yeah, so we're in MacWorks with our rectangular pixels. Now I'm gonna shut down. I'm gonna switch over to 3A. And this is not running the latest firmware right now, so you will see it'll have an error 56 in the boot ROM here, I believe. I don't think I put the latest firmware on here. So yeah, we got an error 56. The latest firmware fixes this, just ignore that. But yeah, there we are with square pixels, and it looks a lot more like normal Mac OS now, as you would expect, right? So yeah, that's it all up and running. I guess I haven't shown the keyboard working yet, but you can see, what's a good way to show the keyboard? I guess I could go to the scrap, or no, let's do keycaps. That's a really easy way to show it. I can type stuff on the keyboard, on the USB keyboard here, and it all shows up on the Lisa. Pretty cool, right? So yeah, that's the board. I can't really demo the USB stuff here because that's a little more than what I'd like to go into in this video, but it does work. Also, we can do audio over HDMI. That does work. It's just this monitor doesn't have speakers, so you can't hear it. Right now, it's all just coming through here. Here's the scan lines jumper. If I move it to the other position, it makes the video a lot dimmer because it's deleting a line every other line, but if you look real close, okay, it really does not show up on the camera, so never mind about that demo. That looks horrible. But trust me, in real life, you can see it. Inverse video, though, you can absolutely see this one on the camera. Yeah, pretty cool, right? Yeah, I think that's just about everything to show. I could exhaustively go through and show you, like, every operating system, but I don't think that's... Oh, I guess I probably should show the floppy drive working. Let's pick an image here. I can't read that through the camera. Let me read it outside the camera. Let's just go and pick a MacWorks Plus install. I hope this image isn't corrupt. That would be awkward. I haven't melted this image before, I don't think. Okay, good, it's not corrupt. Oh, this is MathWorks Plus 2, a MathWorks Plus 2 image. But yeah, you can see the floppy shows up right there. We can open it up, and it's loading from the disk. Pretty cool, and there it is, MathWorks Plus 2 install. So it's a fully working Lisa inside an FPGA. Been working on this for like 8 months now, and I'm so glad that it is finally pretty much done.